Now broadcasting from the Next Gen Conservative Studio in sunny South Florida, bringing you the latest in politics, current events, and pop culture. This is the Whitfield Report with Sam Whitfield.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Whitfield Report. And big news week, everyone. We're glad you're all here. Couple of quick announcements before we get started. First off, we are officially verified, or I guess we have partner status on Rumble now because we hit over 50 subs. So hopefully we'll get some revenue from ads.
So you got the blue check mark on the Twitter, you got the green check mark over here on Rumble. You're moving up.
We're moving up in the world slowly but surely. So yeah, and then I actually have a few people who are asking, are you going to give away 2 games tonight? And it's like, no. People had their chance to help us get to 50 subs a few weeks ago. That didn't happen. So
there's been a couple times. There's been a couple times where I said, all right, nobody's active in chat, we'll give it away on Twitter, and y'all didn't even fucking respond.
It's fine.
It's like you motherfuckers don't even want the game. So I'm not,
We're at 51. Help us get to 100.
There you go.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Next big mile marker is 100. So we'll do a contest as we're nearing there. But in the meantime,
there you go. Fire up your bots. What?
Look,
all right. I forgot this isn't Revenge of the Sith.
You go to your parents' house, right? And they've got the smart TV, and you download the Rumble app, and you say, you're going to need this for Tucker, okay? You're going to need this to watch Tucker. And you sub to Sam. And we get to 100, and then you win the game.
Yep.
That's true.
Yep, that's how we do it. So, and hello in chat to Resisted, just another red shirt, hail. And
a pro
MAGA
cheat
News
for
Network.
that is to work at an old folks home, and you can just download Rumble on all the TVs in the facility. You see?
Yeah, it's like ballot harvesting.
Yeah.
Show.
We need you to ballot harvest the fuck out of the Whitfield Report on Rumble, chat.
Still more legit than actually buying bots, though. I will say that.
Mass unsolicited subscribers.
Excellent. Well, speaking of Tucker, he is out at Fox News, and with that, cable news. Let's be honest, it was on fucking life support before, but it's dead now.
The thing is, the same people that watched until the other day are still going to watch. Most of the people that are like, oh, well, Tucker's out of Fox News, I guess I won't be watching there anymore, aren't actually watching Fox News except for those Fox Nation subscribers. And they lost quite a few of those, as I understand it, because his show is the only thing worth watching.
I thank you for that. I also want to point out a wee bit of comedy relating to all this, and because Smuly on the last show actually recommended to me that I subscribe to Fox Nation for Tucker, so I could watch the Elon Musk interview, and I did, and I watched a few of Tucker's other things on Fox Nation, and I was like, oh shit, this is worth it just for Tucker. So I was enjoying it, and then not even 40 hours later, we it is funny.
You
not
couldn't
even
write
40
that.
hours.
It's
not even 40 hours.
It's because
8 hours
Smuly knew,
later.
guys. Smuly was in on the whole thing. He knew.
Smuly knew.
Smuly's watching you.
What a better way to prank Sam than to just say, "Hey Sam, subscribe to this service, subscribe to this platform."
Well, I said the only reason to subscribe to Fox Nation is for Tucker's content. I was right.
He's still, yeah.
And you know, Sam can now attest that his long form interview format is a much better show than his news show.
Oh yeah.
And so I think with any kind of opportunity, whether he goes out on his own or he teams up with Rumble or he gets a Spotify contract or he publishes it everywhere, he's going to be okay. I mean, his announcement on Twitter within an hour we're at 6.5 million views last time I checked a few minutes ago. The guy's going to have a following, and I think ultimately this will be good for him.
8.5 million now.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at, Joe Rogan is entertainment, and entertainment, dwarfs most stuff in politics or whatnot. But Joe Rogan gets 11 million viewers. Now, on Tucker's show, he doesn't just interview people who are necessarily political. He interviewed actresses and fucking, all kinds of people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that content just inherently opens him up to a younger audience and B, more people than his Fox show, which is, I think we're sitting at like 3 million viewers per episode on Fox.
Am I allowed to gloat about something here for a moment?
Oh, absolutely.
So, Rush Limbaugh, and by extension me, was right about cable news. He was right. He called all this years and years and years ago, and long form content, interviews, long discussions will always beat their overly edited, overly produced talking point nonsense. And even when Tucker did it, I felt that way about it. I like some of his arguments, but I hate that style of talking head bullshit. And Rush, if you were a longtime Rush Limbaugh listener, as I am, you know how he felt about that shit. He got offered to do Tucker's seat before even Bill O'Reilly got the seat, right? The 8 p.m. on Fox News was supposed to be his, and he turned it down because he understood that cable news, yell at each other with talking points format had a limited lifespan, and it was almost at its end at that point.
Well, the funny thing is, Max, I'm glad that you brought that up because you and I are both longtime ditto heads, and if you remember, you probably remember better than I do, but Rush had he had like a late night show, like back in 1992 or something.
It was like a compilation show of calls and points, similar to what Howard Stern was doing in the 90s, where he had a compilation clip show. And for the same reason, this is what people nowadays don't understand. Rush Limbaugh's audience dwarfed Howard Stern's in the 90s.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, so, and I mean, and before Bill Maher took over, HBO, Dennis Miller had Dennis Miller Live, which ran for 9 seasons on HBO. Yeah, the long form like talk, the late night like long form political talk show isn't necessarily new.
It's not even a late night format I'm talking about. I'm talking about just like look at what Joe Rogan does versus look at Tucker Carlson tonight, or even look at Tucker today versus Tucker Carlson tonight. It's two very different forms of entertainment. And it's like we were just saying, you even inherently prefer one over the other. And this is what Rush was talking about. There was this big problem with Fox News itself, was that Fox News since its very beginning has ridden on a personality that has been the driving force of their network. For a while it was Bill O, then it was Sean Hannity. Tucker came in right around the Trump time, so that coincided perfectly. who they're gonna. I guess they're probably gonna try and push probably Hannity and Gutfeld now, right? But the point is, they don't have that star now.
Yeah.
And that star was the only thing driving their network. And before him, Hannity was barely holding on to it, only among the boomer demographic. And before him, you can go back to Bill-O. Bill-O killed it in the same demographics as Tucker. Problem is, that was 20 years ago, and that demographic, they're now all boomers.
I'm reminded of our interview with Kurt, if you haven't seen it.
They were
because we talked
to be fair.
Well, we talked about the advent of the Talking Point cable news show with Kurt Doolittle when we did an interview with him. And how like that format was so deleterious because you could just like use that to trample over everybody with lies.
Yeah.
Well, and then
much better. And Tucker came from this environment.
Yeah.
Much better was Crossfire. Look, I don't want to give CNN credit for basically anything, but Crossfire was good. Crossfire was an actual debate format. It was long form. Tucker was always there. Pat Buchanan was there quite often. And they'd have the lefties and they'd have the righties, and they would actually get into it and have a back and forth. That's where Tucker basically got his start in political media.
Well, but Crossfire has also been around for like 50 years though too, because before Tucker like took it over, it was William F. Buckley's show back when.
But it wasn't on television, right? So like it was a radio show to give or like they had like a public access version that wasn't particularly good. Like it was the first time. My point being is that CNN applied modern editing, modern broadcasting techniques, modern professionalism to this format of the round table. And the thing about even Buckley obviously having his political bugbears running the show wasn't as prone to inviting on like leftoids as Crossfire was. And Tucker wasn't a host. Don't get it twisted. I believe Tucker was always a guest on Crossfire. He wasn't a host. He might have been a co-host with that other older gentleman that I can't remember his name. But it wasn't like one side controlled the talking points, which is why I brought that up, because the point was with the talking point, you know, basically the Bill O'Reilly or the Jon Stewart format is you get to control all the talking points. You get to format your narrative in any way that you want, and you don't have to tell the truth. And that's why it's such effective propaganda. The open debate format like Crossfire, which is not completely open, obviously, because it's on fucking television, but like is a much better format, or the interview format with a guest. Or what we do, which is just riff off the fucking top and talk about whatever's going on. And that overall is far more popular even than Tucker. Because that format isn't just one guy in one show. That format is like half of all podcasts on the internet or more. And it comes with the downsides of being unprofessional like us. And, having to overcome that in some ways. And, sometimes some assholes got like a mic, but the format itself obviously holds some appeal because it's what most people are watching on the internet. Most people under 50 anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's more realistic. I mean, I'm just checking chat to answer just another Red Shirts question, and we'll get to this in a bit, but yes, Tucker is out at Fox while he is still under contract, and that's one of the reasons why this story is so big right now.
We can assume some things, and then there's a lot of things that we cannot and do not know, right? So we do not know how much money was involved in the buyout contract. We know that they've bought out his contract. If you haven't done any independent contractor work, I can understand why you might be lost in some of the details on this shit, because it's really legalistic and really dumb. But essentially, the lawsuit that they had with Dominion, part of the settlement was to get rid of Tucker, and they would have had to offer Tucker at least what he was making for the remainder of his contract. I would imagine he would have asked for more than that by a significant margin, because otherwise he could sue them for breach of contract. Like this is the thing. Tucker didn't get fired. Tucker agreed to leave Fox News. I understand that the narrative is that he got fired. He couldn't have been fired without violating their contract. So he has consented to this deal. And another thing you had mentioned off air, you had heard tale from somewhere that there may be a non-compete clause. We don't know that, right?
Yeah.
We can speculate on that and what a non-compete clause means. Now, one that people have seen in the public eye, and if you're a wrestling fan, you're probably aware of non-compete clauses because they come up as a wrestling thing from time to time. So, Tommy Break Your Neck decides that he's no longer working with WWE and he wants to go over to WCW, but because his contract had a 30-day or a 90-day non-compete clause, he legally can't do that. He has to wait out. So we don't know how long such a non-compete clause may be good for, or if there even is one, and what it would apply to. So again, in the case of old Tommy Break Your Neck there, he is got a non-compete clause for, say, another wrestling organization, but they cannot say that he can't go work at a media company or he can't go work at a coal mine. And so what level of legalism is there around what Tucker can and can't do going forward? The answer to that is between Tucker and Fox's lawyers at this point. But
yeah,
we can reasonably assume that there's something at least brewing in his mind, because he did put out that announcement video today.
And there's also speculation. I mean, one of the things that I've heard, going around is, his buyout contract, that he can't do anything for 3 years, and that's a bit crazy.
As far as non-compete clauses go, I have never heard of a 3-year non-compete clause. And again, what would that apply to? Would it apply to other networks specifically? Would it apply to any media entity? Would it apply to him, broadcasting from his basement with a tin can and a string, right? And this is the problem with the speculation, is all of that shit definitely 100% has an answer, because lawyers, and they love to write very specific, detailed bullshit that'll never even come up. The problem is that we're not going to be privy to literally any of it. And I don't like to engage in speculation on what his contract may or may not say, because if we're just wrong, then all the speculation that comes from that is poisoned at the root.
Well, ironically,
this
is one of the things with the 24-hour news cycle is we're hearing all of these different things. This is one of the things I do want to bring up. We're not sure of all. We know that Dominion was certainly involved, but there are other rumors as to why Tucker left, and we don't exactly know what happened. And we probably won't know for a while at least. To me, that's not as important as what Tucker does next, which is more important.
And we can see by the numbers on that video I was talking about, the interest is there. Of course, we knew that. I mean, the thing is that the Fox Nation subscriptions thing really matters to this, because that is people putting their money where their fucking mouth is. And you usually don't get, we've been talking a bit about the Bud Light shit, and the idea of what is an organic boycott. This was an organic boycott. People were canceling their subscriptions within minutes of hearing the news. This wasn't an organized hey, people were like, well, there's not going to be any new episodes of Tucker, so why am I going to pay for next month?
Yeah, well, I mean, Sebastian Gorka actually made a pretty good tweet about this, where he said that Fox News basically just pulled a Bud Light, move by getting rid of.
I think it's worse.
Yeah.
I also think it was inevitable. I think this wasn't a spur of the moment thing. This had been discussed again by their lawyers and the Dominion lawyers and Tucker's lawyers. They've hashed all of these details out for hours and hours and hours inside of fucking boardrooms and over fucking Zoom and all that garbage. Like, this contract has been, I mean, they didn't legal Zoom this thing, I guarantee, because there's too many millions, maybe billions of dollars on the line to fuck it up. But what comes out of it, again, the Richard in chat said he's had non-compete clauses because of software engineering. That's what I'm saying. Non-compete clauses are super common, and I'm not in the least bit surprised to hear that he may have a non-compete clause. In fact, I would expect him to have one, because Fox isn't, essentially what they're doing is buying out the remainder of his contract. And so I guess theoretically, if he had, this may be what you heard, is that theoretically, if he had 3 years on his contract, it wouldn't be out of the realm of plausibility for them to say 3-year no compete. But then if that's the case, he would have had to take so much over the contract value for that to be worth it, that it wouldn't be worth it to them. And I don't know how else to describe that, but say, okay, we're offering you, Sam, a deal. We're going to take you off of fucking Rumble. And let's say your contract with Rumble was for $1,000, because it's a nice even number that we can all fucking visualize, right?
Yeah.
And they say, all right, we're going to buy you out, Sam. You can't be here anymore. You have to leave, but you can't go anywhere else for the remainder of your contract. Well, wouldn't you say, okay, well, then I'm going to need more money for that, because this is, so the $1,000, for the rest of the year, that doesn't sound fair to me, because I can take your $1,000, but I can no longer work anywhere else. Right. So I'm going to need more compensation for this. And so if there is such a non-compete clause in place, I'm not saying that there isn't, he probably made them pay for it out the fucking nose. But I doubt that there is, just based on that he's already got his well-produced announcement video out there.
Yeah, well, and then his website today also, I did see his actual website, tuckercarlson.com. It looks pretty published. It looks pretty well polished. And don't forget, someone brought this up to me today too. He started the Daily Caller as well.
He did, yes.
So it's not like he doesn't have his own platform to fall, back on. If, in fact, I think it would actually kind of be cool. I'm not saying he's going to do this, but it would be cool maybe if he did a show on the Daily Caller. So,
I don't know. If I were to speculate now, again, not knowing what kind of non-compete he does or doesn't have,
right.
I think if any type of, what happens next, we should leave that out of it, because we don't know, and it could change the outcome. Like, if he has a 3-year non-compete clause, then anything I say he's going to do next year is going to be wrong, right? But what I think is potential to happen here, one big spender that might be interested in Tucker would be Spotify. They're paying a shit ton for Joe Rogan. Tucker can command a similar sizable audience, I think. I am already subscribed to Spotify, so it wouldn't really change my opinion. But they're more likely to hand out a deal for that kind of content than pretty much anybody else. No other network wants him, because they're all lefties, unless you count OAN. But OAN has been dancing, on the ashes of Fox News all day, and Tucker probably don't want to fucking associate with that at this point.
Yeah, well, so does Newsmax. Well, and that's my whole theory was that if there's like a non-compete thing, that's what it's for. He probably can't go to another network. This is like what happened with Adam Carolla. So for those of you who don't know, Adam Carolla, before he did the Adam Carolla Show, his podcast, he basically took over as Howard Stern's replacement on K-Rock when Stern went into Sirius. And what happened was he basically got fired from K-Rock over some BS dispute or something, and they told him that it was the same thing. They gave him a non compete, and at the time what that meant was he basically couldn't go work for another radio station or something like that. Right. But podcasting was brand new at that point, so he decided to try out the podcasting thing because no one else really had done it at that point. And lo and behold,
this is exactly what I'm getting at, is like these non-compete clauses are specifically written. Like people act like it's a one size fits all, because a lot of times the only time people have encountered a non-compete or an NDA is hearing about somebody else having it. Now, like just another red shirt said, like I was saying, like if you've been in software development or hardware or anything like that, like I've dealt with that before, certainly, but most people haven't, and they might have seen it in, like I say, with sports teams or broadcasters or famous people. But you have to understand, this isn't just like it's again, I bring up LegalZoom. This isn't something you print off of LegalZoom and then have somebody sign. These non-compete clauses are very specific. Granted, I think WWE has a non-compete clause that's pretty generic and standard because they use the same one for everybody. This isn't going to be that case. So if they're to say they could, okay, let's go into how ridiculous they could get with this, ignoring the fact that it might get challenged in court and be overturned if you get too ridiculous. They could say, okay, no other networks, and that would include Newsmax, OAN, obviously MSNBC and CNN don't want him, and that's off the table, right? And again, it's like I said, Tucker could then demand a lot more money for just that, right? But imagine if they also say no podcast. Well, how much more money is that going to cost?
Yeah, and my guess is if they were willing to go that far, that he would probably want an amount of money that they are not willing to pay for that.
I guarantee you he asked for amounts of money they're not willing to pay. And I also guarantee you that it might have been worth it, considering that they've lost $1 billion to the fucking Dominion and then another $1 billion in fucking market share.
And again, this is all just speculation, so we don't know, but there is speculation.
That's not speculation. They lost $1 billion.
Well, no, I know that, but now there's speculation that Rupert Murdoch is actually getting ready to sell Fox News, because
I doubt it.
because he's old and he's on his way out. So.
That doesn't vibe with how he's acted his entire life. So I don't know. I wouldn't count on that.
Yeah, I mean, you would know a little bit better about that than I would, but
that's his baby. That's like his like he could give a fuck about the rest of the Fox media empire as long as you didn't take away Fox News. So yeah, I could see him selling everything but Fox News more than I'd see him selling Fox. But hey, Vince McMahon just sold WWE, so who the fuck knows?
Yeah, and that's kind of my point. Well, And usually I would agree with you, except for the fact that like Rupert is 90, or I think 91 or 92 the last
Yeah, but he's
time I
got kids.
checked.
And I look, it's his baby. I could see him not wanting to give it to some corporate motherfucker who's
Yeah.
not going to do the same as he did with it. Now, granted, he used his baby to just push like pro-war neocon horse shit for most of its fucking existence. So I'm not that fond of it overall, but it is his baby, and I don't see him just handing it off to just anybody. It would have to be the right buyer on top of the right price.
Because I know that it was partially Rupert Murdoch's, but Roger Ailes, from what I understand, the way Rush Limbaugh was explaining it, was that Roger Ailes was more responsible for Fox News than
the both of them, though. It's their baby, right? This was their idea.
Yeah.
They were sick and tired of fucking CNN having like a left-wing pulpit to scream from unopposed.
Yeah.
You know, and what you could say what you want about their brand of neoconservatism, but Bill O'Reilly was successful. Despite whatever I might like think about his politics.
Yeah.
Or what you might think about that era of conservative politics, like he was the top dog for a reason. That mentality was popular for a reason. And even Rush had to fucking kind of bite the bullet on some of the things he held deeply, convictions about. He kind of let go because he had to support, in his mind, he had to support Bush because he had to support the party. And was how the 2000s. If you were on the right, the 2000s was the Bushes. That's it. And Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah, well, and I'm actually glad that you brought that up, because Bo Snerdley, who was Rush's producer for years, has actually talked about this, because Rush, even in death, has kind of gotten some criticism for being a neocon. And the way that James Golden or Bo Snerdley, I heard him recently explain this, was, Rush was always more of a MAGA, populist type conservative. But, back in the 90s and early 2000s, Clear Channel was already letting him get away with a lot. So, as a matter of business, he kind of had to toe the line with the Bushes. And
let's be clear, though. There are overlaps between MAGA and Bushism. I know that people want to focus on the differences, but you couldn't have a seamless transition from one to the other if that wasn't the case. The average neocon, like boomer in their middle age in the 2000s, was more focused on kitchen table issues and defending our country from terrorism, right? And so that motivated a lot of like their politics and policies of the time. And speaking out against it wasn't financially beneficial, or more importantly, in the case of like a Rush, beneficial in terms of your reach, because if you ran afoul of the Bush, Bill O'Reilly like establishment at that point, it could have been the end of your career.
Well, and even me as like a young conservative, like and Max, you know this because you've listened to some of my older shows. I myself was a neocon primarily because of the Iraq War. I initially supported it because I had the idealistic like Captain America literal superhero thing where it's like, well, we're gonna go fight terrorism. And
to be fair, how old were you at the time? 2003, probably like 14.
Oh, in 2003, I was probably like 9 or 10 at that point.
Right. So look. If you were 9 or 10 years old during the beginning of the Iraq War, it don't matter. Like, you get a pass, okay? The people I don't give a pass to are the people that actually pushed for it. That's why I give Rush a pass. He didn't push for it.
Right.
He said it was a maybe a necessary evil or something to that effect, but he never glorified it, and he said we shouldn't do it many times. But what do I know? I'm not a foreign policy. Like, he always qualified it,
Well, and the other thing too is, like a lot of my friends, like in middle school and whatnot, who were also, kind of into politics, because I wasn't the only one. Like, a lot of us watched the towers come down as kids, and so there was that big rah patriotism thing. I think what changed is really once we were in our 20s, and we were we're still over in the Middle East. We were kids when 9/11 happened, but yet we're still over there for something that happened when we were little kids.
Before the botch of the end of the Afghanistan war, just to really drive this home, there were people that were born after the war started going over to fight on the front lines.
Yeah. I know that.
And that's what that's one thing I could guarantee. If you gave me time, I can't do it on the spot right this moment, but if you gave me some fucking time, I could find quotes of Rush saying, quote, "This is going to turn into a quagmire." Right? That's a Rush quote. So he was critical of it, and that's why my loyalties always stayed towards Rush's kind of brand of conservatism as my hope, because more people listen to him, and that's one thing you got to remember. Tucker's more of a Rush in terms of popularity than a Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly was very popular with, at the time, 30 to 60-year-old males, right? Tucker's popularity is a lot younger than that, and more broad.
Well, and even I will say Rush's popularity, despite him being a boomer, this is one of the things that drives me crazy about Fuentes and the whole all boomers are bad thing. It's no. There are baby boomers like Rush who were successful at reaching out to the teens and the 20 somethings, at the time. I was one of them. Had I not heard Rush Limbaugh when I was, as young as I was, I wouldn't have been inspired to get into talk radio. And I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today,
People don't realize how influential Rush Limbaugh actually was. There's estimates of anywhere between 6 and 30 million daily listeners, depending on how you get your statistics in the 90s. That's not even close to unrealistic either.
I mean, even up into the 20, even into the mid 2010s, just a few years ago, I always went off the statistics from Talkers, which was the trade magazine of talk radio, and Rush was always monthly. He was always either number one, or number two. Usually number one with around 15 to 20 million listeners. So,
yeah. And in the 90s, it peaked at, I think it peaked well above 30, but consistently getting a number, 30 was one that got thrown out often, because think about it, in the 90s, in the morning, on your way to work, you're more likely to have had the radio on. And if you're at all politically inclined, well, up here, there's two. Up here, there's Rush, and then there's Howie Carr. But y'all probably don't know Howie Carr outside.
I actually do, because I was added to a Facebook, group of his, back when everyone went on Facebook. So
he's like the lone voice of not Democrat, on like local media here.
yeah, I also knew of Neil Bortz too.
Yep. Yeah,
So.
but Howie Carr, I like Howie Carr. But even he would be pulling in, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views or listens rather.
Yeah.
Because people drive into work and they're trying to listen to what's new. And that's still true even if you go outside of like purely political talk radio. What was other popular radio shows at the time on the music stations? Well, you had shit like The Breakfast Club. What do? Talk about politics, talk about news, talk about what's going on in hip hop specifically, but then also talk about major events. What do you have over on the rock channels? Well, they'll have the morning zoo with imagine I have a flushing toilet sound effect and a slide whistle and all that stupid shit. But what do? They make parody songs about the news. They talk about what's going on. They make jokes about it. This longer format that's a little more free form is objectively way more popular than the scripted television or segments like that. It's not even comparable how much more popular it is.
Well, even like the thing though with the radio though too is, and I witnessed this like firsthand once I got older and actually went into a few radio shows. I mean, radio shows are very segmented, and one of the things that I've always appreciated about like podcasting and long form is you can dive into really deep conversations, whereas with radio, right, you always have to take like a break for a station ID or something, and so you're always constantly breaking things up to play advertising breaks, and you don't have to do that in podcasting. So
yeah, I mean, I never minded that part of it. It's obviously just that's the gig if you're a DJ, right?
No,
but it does detract from any meaningful conversations. It's fine, and that's why it works so well. Like I mentioned, I said The Breakfast Club, but the one I was thinking of, like the hip hop morning show around here, I think it was Ramiro and Pebbles, and it was just a dude and a chick, and they would just talk about the news like a normal hip hop oriented station. They'd be like, "Oh wow, that's crazy that R. Kelly peed on his cousin. Wow, I never heard that." Shit like that. And then they move up. It's a segment. It's a bit, and it's contained within one, but squeezed between two ad breaks. That works out so perfect. But if you want to go beyond that, beyond having like a little dig about the news or a sarcastic remark or, like I said, a parody song, the breaks can obviously be a problem with that. Generally speaking, if you're doing long form content on the radio, the best thing to do if you're like talking to somebody is actually just pre-record the whole conversation and then split it into bits and insert the ads rather than disrupt it. But most radio, as many people might not actually realize anymore, is live in studio even now.
Right.
And it gets tough to, hey, it's 9:13. We have an ad break at exactly 9:14 and 12 seconds. Wrap it up, guy. I'll have the producer flashing red lights at me, fucking waving, like, what the fuck? If you've never done actual broadcasting, ladies and gentlemen, it's not as fun as this. Well, this is why every person on the internet has a fucking podcast, because they don't have to deal with Phil over there with his headset on over at the fucking glass, banging on the glass like, "Hey, we're going to fucking break, you piece of shit."
Well, what's funny though is
welcome to radio.
What's funny is when I did internet radio as a teenager, my friend Jason and I was part of a larger group called Junior Factor Nation, and there were a couple of us who were young conservatives, and the idea was we had our network of live podcasters, and we formatted it like radio, And the idea was, because no one knew what podcasting was at the time, that we could all kind of that we could do it like we could do it like a radio show, in hopes that we could each kind of, take it to our local, stations and demo it and do it that way. So we pretty much did things like radio. We kind of adhered to the FCC rules too, of no swearing, which as soon as I went fully independent, I threw that out the fucking window.
Well, that's the thing. We got to rig that in, because we can't have you cursing anymore.
Shut the fuck up.
My mother said so.
Speaking of, well, if Smuly's mom said so, we gotta listen. Anyhow, MAGA News Network brought up Smuly over here. It's
God
just
damn
in
it.
time.
What did he say?
Yeah. What
he said? $1 from MAGA News Network. Wow, just two boomers talking about the old days in Rush. Smuly is just muted out. 3 out of 10.
I say that's a pretty accurate representation.
And then he did the emojis for, I think what it is like Sam can walk. And then he said, "Read my chat. I paid you. I own you." That's true. Hard to argue.
Well, if you want to own Sam, I guess you can own him for $1. Apparently, we'll read your chat.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like a cripple of your very own, we can offer you this wonderful model here for the low price of whatever you want to throw into the chat.
We're gonna have to ask legal.
Oh God, no! I don't want to ask legal because they tell me no every time.
Go on LegalZoom and see if we can sell Sam.
Chat GPT, can I sell Sam Whitfield for super chats?
Who what's funny is I asked ChatGPT to write a review of a news style review of the Whitfield report, and it came up with a brilliant well written Vanity Fair type piece on the Whitfield report. So
one that probably had, if it didn't mention Smuly, I mean,
hey, can you not call me that? Okay, I don't like it because it's a combination of smug and ugly.
Yes,
and making fun of my name, which is fucking brilliant. I mean, it really is just a brilliant fucking attack on my.
It's an attack on your very being. Great.
It's so on point that I can't really, because I am smug. I am ugly. It's like holy shit.
Yeah, well, it is better than Mersh's insult of Sammy no legs. The thing of it is I do have legs. Mersh.
What I love about Mersh is just how unintentionally funny he is.
Yeah. That's the funniest thing about him. He thinks he's this grand comedian or whatever. And he is, but not the way he wants. His jokes are so bad.
But the kind of guy he is. I mean once again, I don't want to rip off Pod Awful, but it's just such an accurate description of why he's funny. Just the type of person he is inherently hilarious. He's poor. He's got poor attitudes. You know what I mean? He's got poor
even if he has money, he'll never ever be anything but poor.
Yeah. It's Sam, look, I was nice to you, okay? So you owe me. You owe me. Because if I'm nice to you, that's a favor. I can come back and call in that favor, okay?
Your Mersh impression is too good, and I have a feeling that if you keep going, I'm just gonna clip it and tweet it at him.
And the fact of the matter is, Sam, is like he doesn't understand that you're just pretending to be crippled. Like he doesn't get that it's a bit.
Yeah.
And like that in and of itself is hilarious. That he's not even like in on the fucking joke, and he sat there during a fucking interview with him, and he sat there and like fucking bought it. So I don't know. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed, and Sam, you're a cripple, and I'm not even gonna point that out in my interview with him.
The funny thing of it is he actually in his like insult thing about me actually made me way more crippled than I actually am, because
that's
I
great
went
though.
on
Because it set the bar for you so low that you can just walk right over it.
No, that's what I literally did. I went on to Ian Ellis's show, and Ian Ellis is a podcaster from Chicago who hates Mersh. And after 5, of course, who does? There's like a laundry list of people who have more beef with Mersh than I do. But I got invited onto the show, and Ian Ellis's first thing was, "Geez, is this the same guy that Merch was making fun of? He really doesn't seem that crippled at all."
Because like Mersh's version is like, he's retarded, he's completely crippled, he's got no legs, it's like, what are you fucking on, dude?
No. What's funny is the bit became, and this made Mersh mad, was that I was actually the one who made Mersh, not him, because I've been doing this way longer than Mersh has. So
yeah, my Mersh impression is terrible, by the way, because mine is just him yelling like a fucking spurg.
Shmuly's is good. The only thing I would recommend Smuly is, if you want to really get authentic, is you didn't take enough cigarette drags during your.
That's probably true.
You know, if you're gonna do a Mersh impression, what you have to do is, and if Shmuly's mother is listening, sorry, ma'am, but I am going to encourage your son to start smoking for the bit. What you need to do, Shmuly, is just
smoking for a bit. Purely is pretty based. I can't deny.
What if you ironically smoke the cigarette?
Yeah, if you're ironically doing it for a bit, I don't think that causes cancer.
Yeah, like if you ironically chain smoke, and I like ironically make poor financial decisions just to really nail my impersonation.
Really to get that character.
You know, I'll buy like a shitty old Beamer, and I'll come on here and tell guys, you have to get rejected by an e-girl too. We just need $5 in the chat. $5 would be life-changing. Okay.
Life-changing.
It would really change this entire operation of the Whitfield Report.
You're just Shmuly's gonna become a method actor. So
he's just gonna become Mersh.
You know that
when Mersh dies, see, this is the trick. Mersh is not the first Mersh. You guys didn't know this, but what happens is it's actually the Mersh curse, where
it's the Mersh effect.
Yeah, it's the Mersh effect. Like you become him physically, and then at some point, when the previous Mersh, kills themselves over their bad financial decisions, you just move into his house, and nobody knows. You've just become Mersh. It's Mersh isn't a name; it's a title that people hold.
Yeah,
he's like the Thing, you know.
But By the way, he also he tweeted out something like, I told you Fox News was gonna die if they got rid of Tucker, and it's like, yeah, that was
Wow, such
wow.
insight.
Well, and like,
wow.
you know, the thing about Mersh is that he adopted all of this like conservative stuff. It's just a grift. I mean, he was never really that big into it, and he still isn't. I mean, explain why he's hanging out with Alex Stein and a known crossdresser in front of children.
True.
He's going on his show, you know, and it wasn't like an adversarial.
He's
thing.
actually defending that specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Mersh specifically defends dressing in drag in front of children. It's so weird.
Yeah, and look, you know, we're fans of satire, right? A lot of my stuff is satire. But when you're satiring the thing, just engaging in the behavior that you're satiring,
it's like
doesn't work.
It's like if I walk oh man, without Fed posting too hard. It's like if I walk up to somebody and I just start stabbing them and say, "See, this is a satire of a serial killer, guys. Isn't this funny satire? This is like what a serial killer does. Isn't that funny?"
Yeah, so I mean, if it wasn't like cross-dressing in front of children, I mean, if
By the way, my original analogy was going to be a mass shooter, and I thought better of it. But the same fucking principle applies.
Well,
you can't do the thing and claim to be a satire of it.
I just thank God that Alex Stein isn't satiring pedophilia.
That's we'll get there, I'm sure.
Because,
well, did you see there was that weirdo, like there was some weirdo on Twitter who made like a pedophile flag and tweeted it out, and then tried to claim that it was like ironic or something, and Elon was like, "Nope, you're fucking gone."
Look, if you read Queer Theory, okay.
oh my god.
Gail Rubin was pretty specific that they're part of the coalition. Now, today might not be your lucky day that you're going to find out this news, but they're part of the coalition, okay? From the day one.
Besides that you need to smoke more part, I would also say your dramatic pauses are way too short to be Mersh.
It's hard to slow my brain down to an IQ so fucking
no, and it's hard to bear.
minuscule.
It's hard to bear that you know that there's like 3 to 5 seconds of dead air in between your fucking sentence. Like, that drives me crazy.
I mean, the thing is that on this show, I have to slow myself down. You know, when I'm speaking in a much slower cadence. Max talks to me. I'm almost insufferable because I talk too fast and I make mistakes that you would if you talk too fast.
That's true. He is insufferable, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
He's insufferable, but he's
also can confirm. No,
he's insufferable, but he's also lovable. He's a Florida man.
Thank you for doxing me. That's really cool, Sam.
Yeah, well, I heard that he resides in the United States of America.
You son of a
bitch.
Well,
when I say he's a Florida man, I mean persona wise.
We're just gonna release secrets about each other now, huh?
Oh God.
I mean,
you see that plate behind him, the one with the dog, that was given to him by his grandfather.
Damn.
Aunt actually, but yeah, you're not.
I know. No, I know. I know a lot of things about you because I know all kinds of stuff, and so I just wouldn't recommend we play the doxing each other game, Sam.
Well, yeah, I think that's a good policy.
Okay, cool. So what else do we got in the news?
Well, but so besides Tucker getting ousted, what else do we have? We have
Oh,
Well,
I have
well,
something here. I'm just gonna read this. I had this prepared earlier, if that's okay. So let me just get in my notes here. Bring this up. It says, why did the tomato turn red?
Why?
Because
Why?
it saw the salad dressing. God damn it. God damn it.
You know,
I love it.
I forgot about the part where I intended to read these out loud. That was the part that I didn't account for.
Why did the tomato turn red?
Oh God, there's even a. All right. Hold on. What do you call a fake noodle?
what?
An impasta. God damn.
These are all good.
Yeah,
I forgot it. I
How
forgot to add the
dad
effects
jokes.
button.
Well,
I'm
that's a shame because we need applause every time I make a point. You know.
We do.
God damn it. Why don't scientists trust atoms?
Why?
Because they make everything up. God damn it. That makes it even worse.
One of the things that one of the things relating to not that this is really newsworthy, but I find it kind of interesting is
I see. I just want to point out. I see our numbers start to go down. Sorry.
what
We lost like 5 viewers because of my dad jokes.
base dad jokes. Yeah. That's what we're doing. But no, related to the Tucker thing, though, I did find this isn't really newsworthy, but I do find interesting that Nick Fuentes was trending on Twitter yesterday, and the reason why he was trending is because he was going to you want to talk about doxing? He tried to dox Tucker's father as like a CIA asset. And the only reason that Tucker Carlson is successful, according to Nick Fuentes, is because his dad got him like a gig with the CIA.
Essentially, Fuentes' point boils down to he's controlled opposition. But like Fed says what? Also, who's the guy with all the pedophiles and the people who have like child pornography charges and like who's that? Is that Tucker? No, that's Nick Fuentes. Who's the laughing stock? Who's the one that everybody's making fun of? Who's the one whose claim to fame is throwing a cup of fucking juice in LA at some people for calling him a Nazi? Like, who cares what he thinks, honestly? And I'll tell you why he's going to make that line of attack. Because
relevance.
It's not even relevance. He doesn't need the relevance. He didn't even care if he was trending on Twitter or not. I'm sure he liked it after the fact, but like that wasn't his intent in what he was doing. What he's doing is his whole shit's falling apart because he's aided and abetted a pedophile for years in the acquisition of young boys to fucking abuse. And because all that came out, well, if you're a cult leader, you need to circle the wagons of who's left. And the best way to do that is to find an enemy and attack. And so Tucker has just become the enemy out of convenience that he's not going to come back at them. He's not going to defend himself from it, right? So it's just a narrative that this guy can use to keep his little cult members in the fucking presence of a pedophile that, he says he denounces, but then he fucking blames the victims of. So Nick Fuentes is relevant. I just want to be real clear. Nick Fuentes is trending on Twitter and relevant only to obscure the fact that he protected a pedophile for many years.
Yeah. I mean, damn. Couldn't have said it better myself.
And also is probably gay, but that's besides the point.
Oh my. I mean, probably. it would be, let me put it this way, it would be shocking if he wasn't.
Yeah, and
So.
it's if you're gay, that's fine, Nick, but you don't need to feed pedophiles little boys. You fucking sick fuck.
You're
don't even get me started on his little buddy Ali there. No, they're fucking all gross, disgusting people. They don't deserve to be treated as. This is why I'm going so hard, Sam. I'm sorry if I'm going a little too far.
No. Well, no. Actually, I'm glad you are, because someone actually brought that up like last night in DMs at like, hey, why is this idiot trending? And yeah,
I want to know
because
I want to know where the lie is that Max is saying. I mean, where's the lie? I detect no lie.
No lies here.
And the fact of the matter is I had spoken with Max previously because Brittany Venti was bringing up these same points. Attacking Tucker for supposedly having fought against communism in Latin America is not the own that they fucking think it is.
That really isn't. It really isn't.
And what his father was with in the intelligence apparatus during the Cold War fighting the Soviet Union. So, oh wow, we need to disavow him.
Yeah. Imagine that. He was in the intelligence establishment under the Reagan era. Oh, the thing is like these young. I hate to shit on young people. I'm trying not to. It's so hard. But young people have no context for this shit. They think that the deep state now is far left and it always has been. And even if this guy was like the glowiest of glowy in 1985, he was too busy fighting communists to worry about transgenders in your fucking school or whatever the fuck they're freaking out about. Like,
well,
they did a lot of
like the Sandinistas and shit.
That's what I'm saying. That's a specific accusation. The other accusation is basically that he grew up upper middle class and married into money. I don't see this as the dig that they think it is either.
Yeah.
I mean, his analysis on the elites versus the people is still solid. It doesn't make sense. The idea that someone has to be a like permanently poor fucking person like Mersch in order to criticize the regime is ridiculous.
I mean, yeah, and the idea that all people with money are bad too, which is something that these America First assholes have, is ludicrous, considering the fact that for a long time they purported to support Donald Trump, who, guess what, is fucking loaded.
Yeah.
So
this idea that like you have to just hate wealth is really weird to me. That's never been on the right until really, I want to say not post-Trump, but post-2009 is when I saw like Occupy brought that shit in. I've been saying, I think ground zero for like all of our political strife nowadays, but specifically the proliferation of socialist and social justice thought, all directly fucking stems from like it's the primordial ooze of the Occupy Wall Street movement.
Yeah, well, it also goes back to the idea that all boomers are cringe, and that all
well, that's like, true. I mean, to be fair, but
Rush Limbaugh though was
but it doesn't matter. Like the point is, all boomers are cringe depending on your perspective. We always got to remember with things like this is such a fucking subjective term in the first place. It's like as compared to what? Are boomers cringe if you're fucking 19 years old? Yeah, all of them are. All of them are. I am too, right? So we just got to kind of remember that. Like to the 15-year-old, you are cringe. You are old.
Yeah, well, I listen. I know I'm old. I know to some of these kids I'm old. To Gen Alpha, I'm old. So,
and boomer has lost all meaning because
they're just gonna kill you.
Yeah, they call anybody, they call each other, like Zoomers be calling Zoomers fucking boomers. It's a meaningless term.
Look, I don't
Yeah.
like it, but it's the way it's gonna go, Sam. Writing's on the wall.
Yeah.
It's just like 5-1, basically. That song.
You're a boomer, buddy.
It's true.
They're coming for you.
It's just all one day. You just wake up and suddenly you're a boomer. It's it happens.
They're coming for you, Sam, in both the sexual and non-sexual meaning of the term.
Well, at least with one of those, I suppose I could be a little bit flattered, but
I guess we solved the riddle of why Sam turned red.
That's because I was out in the sun all day.
God.
Yeah. Okay.
We got another $1 from MAGA News Network, and it says my poem, and I think he's written a poem. Should we read the poem for $1?
What's it about?
Let me see.
It's about Mersh.
Yeah, why not?
Let me try and give my best literary
Sam
poetic reading. Oh, if Sam wants to read it.
I could read it. Mersh, a man of poor financial sense, lives on a couch in great pretense. His money spent on frivolous things, awaiting him with naught but borrowed wings. 5 a.m., the podcaster lovable and kind. Or no, yeah, Sam, the podcaster lovable and kind.
I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to reiterate, he just read his own name as 5 a.m. That has to be the word you've seen the most in your life.
Okay, we could have somebody who can read faster than like 3 words per minute.
No, he was doing great. I just thought that was really funny that he got his own name wrong. Right?
That was great. Go ahead.
It was the font. It looked like a 5 from here, but yeah.
It looked like that to me too. So
yeah, Sam, the podcaster, lovable and kind, becomes the target of Mersh's mind. Anger and bitterness, his daily bread, a lost soul with nothing shed. Blaming others for his own mistakes, Mersh wallows in despair and hate. The couch is thrown, the only reprieve from the harsh reality he can't believe. Oh, Mersh, why won't you see his path to happiness and glee? Take control of your own fate before it's too late. So, Mersh, let go of the past and step into the fight at last, for you have the power to succeed, and with that, a life of joy and peace.
I think that was a pretty decent poem. I think it's pretty accurate for how Mersh lives his life.
That's true. Yeah,
especially the part about him having poor financial sense. Lives on a couch with great pretense. His money's spent on frivolous things. I think that's pretty fucking accurate. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
we got fucking poems in our chat. We have the best chat.
9 million views on Rumble, though, folks. I mean,
everybody type nice in the chat.
Yeah, give yourself a round of applause, chat. You're the real fucking whatever.
You're the real stars. So also yes, Ralph is getting like he's separated or something, but listen, we're not going to talk about that. Go over to Cog's channel or someone else.
Yeah,
who's Ralph?
The fat guy, who's like a bad person. Everybody besides Mersh.
Jesse from Pod Awful.
No.
Fat now.
Jesse's the greatest guy.
Oh, okay.
Right. No, yeah, I heard that. Listen, the thing is anything that comes out of fucking Ethan Ralph is probably bullshit. He's always playing some angle. If his wife did leave him, he'll still lie about it. Who fucking cares? I hope she did, because a wife and child being around him is probably a bad idea with the goddamn state he's in. If any of
True.
Ralph's fucking sycophants want to come by, look, we rarely ever fucking talk about him, but I'll say this. The man needs fucking help or stop giving him money to kill himself. If you can't do either of those two things for him, you're part of the problem. You're probably fucked up too.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, speaking
let's just fucking stop with the guy. It's not funny when he's abusing kids and shit.
Speaking of being a fat loser, that's a good segue to neat news.
Yes.
Neat news. McDonald's has announced that it will be testing a new plant-based chicken nugget following the introduction of the Chick-fil-A new cauliflower sandwich. The new chicken plant McNuggets will be available for testing in Germany from February 22nd, 2023, and will be made from a mix of peas, corn, and wheat. The McPlant burger was launched in the United States in 2020, but was quietly removed from the menu in 2021. The success of the McPlant nugget in Germany will determine if they will be launched in the United States. The European market is more receptive to plant-based items because they are gay.
True.
That was the Associated Press reporting, allclips.com.
Yep.
Impossible Food has announced a recall of its plant-based chicken nuggets due to the possibility of small pieces of wood in the products. The recall affects the Impossible Chicken Nugget made from plants and the Impossible Chicken Nuggies produced between October 20th and November 23rd, 2022.
Wait, sorry, are you saying that these nuggies you eat so much wood that you turn gay?
Yes. And the recall is from the nuggets that have been produced from November 23rd, 2022 to October 20th, 2023.
Right. So they're going to recall ones made for the next 6 months?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, look, I mean, look, who wants to eat wood besides the gays, right?
No injuries have been reported, and the company is offering affected customers a coupon for a future purchase.
Well, let's be real. Like, we've all eaten wood chips before. It's probably not that big a deal.
In that article, I summarized it, obviously, for Neat News. Trisha Kovo, ConsumerReports.com.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen.
And that concludes Neat News.
They're making the nuggies gay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that it makes sense, right? Like, Europeans are more receptive to this kind of disgusting trash, right? Because they're inferior people.
Right.
Here's the thing with all of this plant-based shit is it takes more, like, producing plant-based shit is actually more harmful to animals than it is to to actually just kill them, because you're basically taking their food source.
Yeah, and you're
one serving of those nuggets, at least the Impossible nuggets that I've actually like had the nutritional thing on, because I don't know about the specific ones he's talking about, but it doesn't really matter because it's true of pretty much all this plant-based food. One serving contains 3 times my recommended daily salt intake. Now, that's because I've had a heart attack, and you might think, okay, well, yours, Max, is going to be really, really low because you have a heart condition, and so obviously you're going to take in less salt. Well, let's look at what the normal person's is. It's about 2,000 milligrams per day. Do you know what one serving of the fucking Impossible Nuggets has?
Like what?
3,500. So it's 1.75 times as much salt in one serving of food than a normal person is supposed to have all day. The reason for that is because without that much fucking salt, they have no flavor at all, and they're tasteless, bland pieces of shit.
Yeah. What gives meat a lot of its character is its fat, and this demonization of fat is a problem. I don't know. I mean, if you were going to make it I would imagine you would want to use mushrooms, right? But I don't know. I'm not a scientist. It's just closer to meat than you would think. Like McDonald's is using peas, corn, and wheat.
Yeah, but they could just dump because it's not just one type of salt. What they do is they'll do a pass. Okay, here's some garlic salt. Here's some onion salt. Here's some sea salt, and it's all these different salts that have a slight variation on flavor mixed together. So, like for me, what I like to do is I use like the bare minimum of salt in my cooking, and I use a lot of either fresh or even that white bitch is crazy because powdered shit's good too. But you use as little salt as possible because the salt is where most of she's right about that. Most of your flavor comes from the salt.
Yeah.
So, but what they're doing is the exact opposite of that. They're like, well, we need a little garlic. Instead of using just garlic, well, let's use garlic salt. Well, we need onion. Let's use onion salt until there's so much different. And the reason they do that, though, is if they just use onion powder instead of onion salt, again, you will get a cheap fucking it tastes like cardboard.
Yeah,
because that's how that shit all used to taste until they figured this out.
Yeah, there's a trick that when you start playing around with food and stuff with salt, if you have big grains of salt, you can use less salt.
Yes,
and you get more of that effect. The uniformity of salt makes it less impactful on the flavor of their food.
Right,
and you can intuit.
Garlic salt is actually just a little better because it's inherently not uniform. It looks it when you're looking at the powder, but on like a smaller, like under a microscope, it's not.
Yeah, that would make sense. But I mean, you can intuit this if you just think of like a big ass pretzel.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you're going to taste the salt. You're going to basically have just a big piece of salt land on your tongue. And when that happens, you're like, ooh, that's good. Whereas if it was just uniformly salty, it wouldn't have that same impact. So that's just, Smuly cooking tip.
It might on the first, but as soon as your palate's adjusted, it's fucking gone. Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I actually use like a sea salt.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all completely irregular. And I have a grinder.
Same here.
Yeah.
We use Himalayan pink salt, which is really good.
You're fancy.
It's because you're bougie.
Yeah. But you claim to be against the elites. But you use Himalayan salt.
Pink Himalayan salt.
Okay, yeah.
No, I've used it before.
Yeah,
I actually find that
me.
I guess MAGA News Network in chat is right that you're a globalist.
Whoa!
You can't even use American salt.
Whoa! Being a globalist, that's a bit far.
Well, that's what he said. He said you cheated at CS:GO and that you're a globalist.
I've never played CS:GO.
Oh, because of global effect. Oh no. Oh, that's so true. Because it's Counter-Strike Global Offensive. So if you cheated to win at it, you're a globalist. I get it.
Oh, that is a good
also,
one,
you can't even use American salt. You gotta be getting salt from the Himalayas.
Yeah.
That's a little fancy. See, I like to get my salt the old-fashioned way on Twitter.
We can just name this like Sam posting L's. I mean, this is just one Sam L after another.
We've gone way too hard on Sam today, Smuly.
Hey, listen. Apex did this regularly, so at least you guys are sober for it. So,
well, and how much of it is serious? That's the thing, is nobody ever knows. They can speculate. They can say none of it. They'd be wrong.
So the idea that I would go on the internet, okay, and say something that I don't earnestly believe is absurd and an attack on my character.
Yeah.
That would be an affront to our norms.
I'm
And I
disgusted
wouldn't
at the
stand for it.
accusation at this point.
Yes.
Yeah, who
We
does
firmly
that?
we firmly believe that Sam can walk.
Damn, we're still going with that, huh?
Well, why would anybody go on the internet and say something inflammatory like that to somebody, you know?
Look, what we'll do is, if you think Sam is actually crippled, post a wheelchair emoji. And if you think he can walk, post a walk emoji, and we'll see what chat thinks.
Oh, God. If we're going to start polling chat on whether they think he can walk or not, I hate to see what happens when we have a couple hundred viewers. Because they're all just going to say yes. And then how's he going to prove him wrong? Because that's the best part about all of this is even if he gets down and like crawls across the floor, you could still just say, well, of course, because he's on camera.
Well, remember the other show? Like, this is the thing. Like, on the other, one of the other episodes, he said, like, oh, I ran.
He did.
I ran to get this.
Remember,
and I was
or when he
ooh.
walked out of an assembly in high school.
Yeah. I walked out of an assembly in high school, and you're just like, what?
What was there? It was a figure of speech.
Like, I don't know if I should do that. You know, like, I mean, this guy's hiring me. I'm on his show, but like,
the evidence just keeps.
I've heard the rumors, and you know,
we're at the point where it's a strong suspicion, I would say.
Yeah. Look, even if you could walk, I'd still be your friend. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. That might be a step too far for me.
Well,
I would say that I would disavow, but I mean that would imply that I ever avowed you.
True.
Have you ever noticed that? These people are like, do you disavow? It's like, who runs around avowing people? I've never understood that.
Yeah. Remember when it was literally in the Twitter rules or somebody's rules that you had to disavow Alex Jones if you ever talked about him? And so we did a whole episode of my show where we just disavowed everybody.
Yeah.
So I've already disavowed fucking everybody. If you're watching me right now, I disavow you personally. I don't know what you did. I don't know why, but I disavow.
What is the dictionary definition of avow? Because if it's what I think it is, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
It's like I don't know if about the dictionary definition, but it's essentially a sworn oath.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so like the concept that these people are like, oh, well, you need to disavow this person. It's kind of like, when did you stop beating your wife?
Yeah. Do your parents know you're gay?
Yeah. It's literally that, and everybody's running around going, "Oh, I disavow if you do that." I guess I missed the swearing an oath to random people on the internet. I don't.
Yeah.
Right. And so what we need right now is everybody to raise their hand and swear an oath to walk with Sam.
No, I've got one better. Stand with Sam.
Hashtag stand with Sam, baby.
There we go. That's the t-shirt. The t-shirt is hashtag stand with Sam, and it's the guy walking emoji.
Oh my God. No, the guy walking emoji next to the disability wheelchair. Oh man! I stand with Sam.
It's that meme with the fork in the road, and on one side it shows like, you know, the walk emoji, and on the other side it's the wheelchair guy, and it just says "Which way, modern man."
You know, I was thinking about this, and it's interesting that you know, we could create t-shirts that people could like wear in public and promote the show. That's not what we do. I come up with a shirt that says internet scumbag for my show, as if anybody wants to wear that in public. we're coming up with like crippled jokes about standing with Sam. Like we got this bad. We're really, really bad at grifting, guys. I hate to say this.
Yeah, but I think that we're really good at audience building because it's an inside joke that no one else will understand, and that is so on brand for us.
True.
Well, no. Think of it this way, though, and this is think of it. Someone sees one of our inside jokes on a shirt, like, and then it has like the podcast name, like, on the bottom or whatever. So someone sees the shirt and is like, "What the fuck is this about?" and then you tell them to go like check out the. That's what Alex Jones actually did with Info Wars, where I think like someone made like a the frogs are gay shirt or something like that.
We need to go do a man on the street thing with Sam and like you need a at least a 5 out of 10 attractive young woman, right? And she'll hold the camera. You go to a university campus. Sam, you sit there in your wheelchair, and then you're like, "Excuse me, do you think this guy is faking it?" Right? And then they look at you, and then you can kind of see if people think you're faking it.
That would be an interesting social experiment, though. But she'd have to be far enough away from you that it doesn't seem like you're hearing what she's saying, right? Because then people would feel more at comfort to answer.
Yeah, don't worry, he is really deaf, but is he faking the rest of it?
Yeah, just 10 feet away at like a busy like cul-de-sac, and she's just like, "Do you think he's faking it?" We're just asking people out here. It's just a social experiment, and they'll be like, They'll really think about it too. As long as they think he is unaware that they're assessing him in that way, I think a lot of people would put some thought into it.
Do you have the merch drop that says they're bullying me to death?
No, but we need that.
I don't have that one, but yeah, we do.
Because Sam could play that because we're bullying him right now. We're coming up with social experiments in order to promote a show that involve him going to a college campus with a young woman in order to see if they think that he's faking it, to reference the inside joke that was made in our chat.
Well, but there's a legitimate science at play here, because people do people actually, as much as they want to think they're so nice that they wouldn't make that snap judgment, I bet you because like a lot of people will just, I don't know. I don't want to. I bet you if you offered them $10, they'd give you an answer though. Like if there's an incentive, people will give an answer, and it'll be a meaner answer than if there wasn't.
Maybe not though, because like I can. Okay, did I ever tell you my Stephen Hawking story?
You have a Stephen Hawking story, and I haven't heard it. Go.
Oh my God. Okay, I think maybe I know I told Apex this. So okay, so when the year Stephen Hawking died, I was going to a community college, and so one day I was just like motoring around campus,
walking around,
motoring around in my power wheelchair.
He's gonna be so picky about that from now on too. He's gonna make sure he uses the right word.
These two like guys just came up to me and said, "We're sorry for your loss," and I was like, "What do you mean?" Because like my uncle had died that previous year, so I'm like, that's weird that these people. I'm like, what are you? Well, and I'm like,
oh
what?
my God, can I guess?
Please do.
They were sorry for your loss because Stephen Hawking died and he's a fellow cripple.
Hey, that was exactly it. And
oh my god.
and so I was like, what? They're like, well, Stephen Hawking died, and we thought that he might have been a role model, for you. And I'm like,
role model. Holy shit!
He's a role model.
Role model. It's so fucked up.
This is so much worse than all the fucking jokes that we've been making. Shit.
And so then I did but then I had fun with it because I did the thing that I did this joke. I'm like, are you assuming that all disabled people look up to Stephen Hawking? I did the thing that black people do, where they're like, do you think all black people are the same? I did that bit. Where
Like, Sam's over here like, what do you mean by you people?
what do you mean by us? Do you think all disabled people are mourning Stephen Hawking? And they're like, well, yeah.
A role model? What you saying, role model? Why don't you explain that, boy?
Oh, damn. No, see, if I had known you guys, I would have gone further with that. What do you mean by role model, asshole?
That's what I'm saying. That's
some kind of slur.
Yeah, role model. Jesus.
So then after that happened, I texted my mom, right? And I told her what happened, and she replies, "Are you serious?" So then later on, when I got home, my stepdad, with a completely straight face, goes, "Sam, I'm deeply sorry for your loss," and then just starts. And then we both burst out laughing just at the absurdity of it. It was hilarious, and it went around my neighborhood for like a solid week. It was funny, but that's just how the left rolls, I guess, with just assuming things.
I just wanted to give an update. Tucker Carlson about an hour ago uploaded a short 2-minute video from his home. And on Twitter, it has already received 18 million views.
Can you screen share that?
You can. You can, because it's your show, Sam.
It's in general, I think. No, it's not.
You don't pay me to do that. That's not why you pay me. You pay me.
I could, but I'm not set currently to fucking play video through.
Oh,
it would take me a moment.
Okay, I might be able to. I was just fucking around.
No, I can grab it. I just figured if you have it up. So.
Well, I don't have it up. I just figured, I was gonna say something like it's not my job description, but I don't remember why you pay me. So, Hold
on, you got paid? Well, since we have some time here, what do you call a dog magician?
What?
A labracadabrador.
That's okay. That's like not even that good of a.
Nope. I haven't read any of them beforehand. Did you hear about the guy who lost his left arm and leg in a car crash?
Sounds like a friend of mine.
He's all right now.
God. That is bad. Okay.
All right.
Why did the chicken cross the playground?
Hold on. Let me.
To get to the other slide.
All right, I got it up. I don't know how to.
Okay, we're good. Okay, so Tucker's new announcement video, folks. There's no tab audio. I can't hear it.
Okay. I don't know. Sorry, guys. I don't know how to do that.
I think. Let me see. I got it now.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. This is why I had said no.
All right. Since we have some viewers left, I'll do one more to fucking drive them off. Why did the Scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field.
God, that's something that Sam is. Sam is very outstanding in his field.
True.
He stands above the others for his contribution.
God damn it.
You guys tell corny dad jokes. I play weird sound effects.
And this is the amazing thing. The undeniably...
All right.
Good evening, it's Tucker Carlson. One of the first things you realize when you step outside the noise for a few days is how many genuinely nice people there are in this country. Kind and decent people, people who really care about what's true, and a bunch of hilarious people also, a lot of those. It's got to be the majority of the population, even now. So that's heartening. The other thing you notice when you take a little time off is how unbelievably stupid most of the debates you see on television are. They're completely irrelevant. They mean nothing. In 5 years, we won't even remember that we had them. Trust me, as someone who's participated. And yet at the same time, and this is the amazing thing, the undeniably big topics, the ones that will define our future, get virtually no discussion at all. War, civil liberties, emerging science, demographic change, corporate power, natural resources. When was the last time you heard a legitimate debate about any of those issues? It's been a long time. Debates like that are not permitted in American media. Both political parties and their donors have reached consensus on what benefits them, and they actively collude to shut down any conversation about it. Suddenly, the United States looks very much like a one-party state. That's a depressing realization, but it's not permanent. Our current orthodoxies won't last. They're brain dead. Nobody actually believes them. Hardly anyone's life is improved by them. This moment is too inherently ridiculous to continue, and so it won't. The people in charge know this. That's why they're hysterical and aggressive. They're afraid. They've given up persuasion. They're resorting to force. But it won't work. When honest people say what's true, calmly and without embarrassment, they become powerful. At the same time, the liars who've been trying to silence them shrink, and they become weaker. That's the iron law of the universe. True things prevail. Where can you still find Americans saying true things? There aren't many places left, but there are some, and that's enough. As long as you can hear the words, there is hope. See you soon.
Interesting.
That is amazing, and I think that that totally confirms that I'm right, that he's going to shift to long-form content.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, I reiterate his, I think it was Tucker Today, right? His long-form content, he had an interview with Curtis Yarvin. It was fantastic. It was long-form. He had an interview with... Who's that lefty that was on the Young Turks?
Shank?
No, he left.
He spit on Alex Jones.
That guy. I can't think of his name.
Yeah, it's not important, but like he had him on. You know, maybe some Russell Brand type guys. You know,
he had comedians and actors too. Like beyond just politicians and shit.
He had Michael Francis, former mob boss, on who.
Yeah, I mean, those are actually worth listening to. Once again, I mean, those are like actually good. He's right in the sense that, you know, he dunked on some libs. I enjoy it. Everybody enjoyed it. But like in 20 years, there's going to be a handful of times that he dunked on the libs that it's worth watching.
I mean, one thing that he actually talked about in the Michael Francis interview is like Tucker's for prison reform, which a lot of neocons aren't.
Yeah.
Like the funny thing of it is neocons actually are the racist, conservatives, if you want to, refer to them.
Here's a good prison reform. It's just considered part of society that if you go to prison, you're going to get raped. We tell jokes about that. That's a good place to start.
We've been talking about this for fucking years. Like, why is that considered acceptable in a joke? Like the idea, like, okay, if let's say, everybody wants to jump to the murderers and the rapists that they think it's fine. And by the way, if you've ever joked about that, yeah, you do think that rape is an appropriate punishment for a crime. That's what you're saying, right? That's what you actually believe. So like, let's go a little further down then. Is rape an acceptable punishment for shoplifting a candy bar? Well, apparently, because our system thinks that if you go to prison, you should get raped. Yes, our system is premised on rape as the deterrent for men. And if that's the case, then we should just legalize it.
Yeah, like have an official judge sentence you to rape.
Yeah, and then in the prison, you're going to have one guy who's, because safety is important, and he's going to be the rape master. He's in charge. He's going to have his riding crop. He's going to have his dildos over there. They're all sterilized. Like, if this sounds crazy to you, then maybe you don't think rape is an acceptable punishment for crime.
It seems cruel and unusual to me. And, so I think to Sam's point, yeah, there needs to be prison reform. They are unsafe. They are corrupt.
Full of drugs.
Full of violence. One of the few places in our society that racism, like in true actual form, is a day-to-day reality.
See this is where the Libertarian Party could be effective, but they aren't, because like the Libertarian talks about like how non-violent offenders are always getting locked up in jail, and it's like, yeah, but you guys are too busy talking like about roads and and shit like that.
Well, the thing is, really... if jail was the kind of clinical thing that everybody prescribes it to be, but everybody knows it's not. This is like, you cannot tell me that people of the people of America don't endorse rape as a punishment. They might say that they don't. They might not want to elect the rape master, right? They might not want to sanction it, but they still endorse it all the time. They think it's acceptable. Now, maybe you might say in the case of like pedos and serial killers, maybe you even believe that that's true. But the problem is the lowest level offenders are getting just as much as anybody else. So if you think that not paying a traffic ticket that gets you 30 days in the state pen is worthy of a human being being fucking raped forcibly, then why don't you just elect a rape master and just be honest about the disgusting kind of fucking system that you want to have?
Yeah, I mean, and this is sort of another problem. Bail reform. The left has completely fucked over any potential progress on bail reform. It says in the Constitution that you shouldn't have fucking unreasonable bail. I think a lot of the bail that people receive is set too high. It's set to an unreasonable fucking level.
Well, we can thank Joe Biden for that.
Partially,
yeah.
Because I mean,
the whole bail bondsman system too, though. So like that's the insidious part, is because people don't know how the system works if they've not been through it. I have. So you have to bond out. Your bail is the total number if you had cash. So in my case, because I was like not considered a threat or anything, my bail was like $100, and they gave it back to me because I won. But in a case where it's a larger number, say there's a murder or drunk driving accident, something like that, they're going to say 10, 50, even $1 million, right? In some cases. It's intentionally set so high that you can never pay it without the help of going to a bail bondsman. And if you don't know what they do, essentially they give, like, in theory, they're supposed to give up the rest of the money for your bail, but that's not actually how it works. What they do is they give their word that if you go running away, they're going to come bring you back. But you still have to pay, I believe it's between 10 and 25%, depending on the state that you're in.
Yeah.
So the whole thing, the bails are set ridiculously too high to feed you into this kind of predatory bail bondsman system, because a bail bondsman will also give you a loan to help pay those legal fees too at like interest. The thing is you'll never get that loan from anybody else, and so you have to pay whatever interest the bail bondsman wants. And again, if you don't make your payments, they can literally hunt you down, literally like Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, like Alex Stein.
Yeah, like him.
Yeah.
We got to do something about these bounty hunters, man. They're out there flying blimps.
But this is where the left constantly messes stuff up. Like, now the concept of bail reform is poisoned in the vast majority of people's minds, because bail reform is synonymous with abolishing all bail on violent criminals, which is dumb, because there's a point to have bail.
Right. And that's kind of what Tucker was getting at there, right? Is like, we can't have this conversation because it's either we need ridiculous bail or abolish all bail. Or it's like, oh, well, prisons are fine exactly the way they are, or maybe they're not harsh enough. Or what's the alternative? Let all the criminals out? I mean, there's you can't have any in-between positions anymore.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Tucker was saying, because it benefits, people on both sides.
Yeah, well, there's no room for nuance, and I mean, and that's part of the reason why people lots of people have been saying that Tucker should go to Spotify, and I kind of agree with that, because like Spotify they've already got Joe Rogan, who also does like pretty in-depth like conversations, and
it would certainly fit in on Spotify probably better than any other major platform. I don't know if he should. I think that Spotify would have the money to pay him, so that, because that's going to be a big factor. Who has the money? Like, how much is Tucker Carlson worth? I mean, Fox has to think he's worth at least the $1 billion they just lost, right?
Yeah.
Plus whatever they fucking paid him on top of that. So they gotta, who can pay that kind of money besides Spotify? Spotify doesn't even pay that kind of money,
Well, I think Spotify paid Rogan like 30 mil, like some astronomical.
It was
money
it was like 200 million for like a 3-year deal, I believe.
Yeah.
Is a fucking absurd amount of money. But I think Tucker's right now worth more. Maybe that doesn't pan out in 5 years. I think Rogan's longevity is that he's less political.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm just saying.
Well, no, I'm just like looking at all sides of it. If you were to bring Tucker in, the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to get buku ratings. That first episode or whatever everybody's going to watch it. Yeah. Is it a long-term $200+ million investment for Spotify? I actually think it could be, considering how much they waste on licensing like real obscure music.
I really do think it would be profitable for them long term.
And it would cement the kind of company that they are as like a pro free speech company. We've been on the fence with Spotify over the years because they've threatened or acted on some censorship. This would be a stance by them saying that, we're part of this new thing that's not about censorship.
Well, I mean, Spotify, at least in my experience, when Owen Benjamin and his cult was trying to get me deplatformed initially, Spotify said nope.
I won't 100% defend Spotify though, because they banned my boy Tyson James' album this week, and that's fucked up. So a couple things, if I could, on the kind of rap side of things that I'd like to address.
Please do.
Shout out to Fagaggio Blow, Bryson Gray, and Tyson James. They were just involved with a DICE documentary from the show Fringes that went and looked at what they call MAGA rap, which I don't even, aside from Fagaggio, that's like his whole image, but I wouldn't call Bryson Gray or Tyson like MAGA rap. I'd more say they're like edgy political Christian rap, regardless, because Tyson James has been doing it since before Trump been around. I'll tell you that. Boy's been around forever. And so it's a good watch, actually. It makes Fagaggio Blow look like the pimp of the fucking nation. It really, really builds him up. It kind of makes Bryson look bad, but then it makes Fagaggio look even better, because Bryson sees a tranny while they're doing a video shoot and he's like super uncomfortable about it. But Fagaggio walks up to this tranny and he's like, "Yo, Tila, how you been?" Like he knew this fucking person his whole life, which he probably did. And that made him look great. And I knew that it was about the three of them, right? And I was like, okay, if they made Fagaggio look good and they made Bryson look meh, this is going to be a hit piece on Tyson James. And sure as fuck it was. They flipped out because he burnt the pride flag, because that's one of the bits that he does. And there were some Karen bartenders that had like a hissy fit. But the coolest thing of this all is the bitch that did the documentary was the lesbian bitch that was at a straight pride. And so I've actually talked to this woman before, and she's pretty open-minded about, like, she obviously disagrees with everything we're about, but she's open-minded enough in free speech enough. And she wrapped it up with the best message possible for a lefty like her to say. She's like, yeah, some of this shit makes me uncomfortable, but I'm here now at this event seeing what happens when you ban these people, and I think we should stop banning this. So Vice on the far left now calling for an end of deplatforming. At least that woman is. And I think that's important. But because of the increased visibility and because of the controversial nature of Tyson James' new record, Dangerous, and yes, I'm going to shill for my friend's record, you can go pick it up at his website, but you cannot pick it up on Spotify, iTunes, or even on YouTube. So be on the lookout for that. If you like rap and you like a Christian sound and a kind of right-wing perspective, this is, I believe, the first record to be banned at release on Spotify.
Wow.
And one of the first to be banned at release on iTunes.
Yeah, I'm not in support of that. That certainly sucks.
I understand that some of his stuff is very controversial because he talks about gay and transgender issues and stuff. Like, I get all of that, but we've had way more controversial music in the past.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, I was just talking, Max. I mean, from my experience, like in the podcasting sphere, that Spotify has.
I think Spotify is, for the most part, does a good job, but I can't let this go.
No,
and just gloss over it. So, like, you know, this is my counteracting this, right? Is I'm telling the whatever fucking 5 people who will see this part of the show, maybe. Go check out the Vice Fringes documentary on MAGA rap that just came out. And if you fucking kind of resonate with those guys, go pick up Fagaggio Blow. I can 100% recommend anything by him. If you're a fucking MAGA guy, you'll have a blast. He's all about fun and Trump and kind of upbeat, very Florida shit. Bryson, bit more serious. If you're very biblical and scriptural, you probably love this shit. If you're not so religious, maybe not. I don't know. And Tyson James, you know, the boy wears his heart on his sleeve. I've already done like an episode. I've talked to him before. I'm gonna have to ask him to be on now, right? Because I don't see any problem with platforming him.
No, but we're all about talking to interesting people here.
If burning a pride flag is that over the line, then let me ask you this, America. Why isn't burning an American flag get you this kind of reaction?
That was going to be my exact question. So,
and I'll tell you this, another one. If everybody goes out, at the very least, you don't got to go buy the record, you don't got to watch the documentary, go follow Tyson James on Twitter while he's still there. Go follow at CCG Bryson. I think that's what it is. Go follow Vigaggio Blow. He's hilarious. Go follow these guys. Give them a listen. Mises is another one that I'm a big fan of. He's not a MAGA rapper. He's a Christian rapper, but I really, really like Mises. And just check some of this fucking shit out, because it's actively what's being censored. It is literally the edgiest music that exists today, whereas Wet Ass Pussy is #1 on the charts, and songs about Jesus are banned. That's me off of my soapbox. I am done.
yeah, and also this is the non-religious Max Sand saying this too.
Well,
so
10 years ago, what was the edgiest rap music in the world was about like murder and rape in like horror movie shit. And what's the edgiest thing in rap now? Praising Jesus.
Yeah.
Not even that. The Trump stuff is like I say, Vigaggio Blow, they treated him like he was the greatest thing ever on Vice, right? It wasn't until they got to the Christian rappers who have a problem with fucking gay shit. Then they started with the evil music behind him. That's one great trick. The whole time Tyson James was talking, they ambushed him when he got off the stage and asked him like aggressive questions. And then they edited him out of context to make it look like he was screaming and ranting at them. But what really happened is he was one, out of breath coming off stage, hyped up on adrenaline and all that. And then two, they asked him some very aggressive questions. And then they put behind it, they put this evil, like droning mechanical music, like what he's saying, like he's Hitler. I'm not even kidding. It's the most obvious hit piece I've ever seen, in conjunction with all of these major companies banning this guy's record. And so I don't know, if you support free speech, go pick up Dangerous.
Sounds good to me. Well, we are closing in on the 2-hour mark, so
as we finish it, I just want to say that Tucker has now over 20 million views on his personal Twitter.
Nice.
Hundreds of thousands of retweets. And this is at 11:25 p.m. So I think it's likely to be one of the biggest tweets of all time. And I think this is a proof of concept.
Yep, let me pull. Yep, I'm seeing right now. 20.3 million views on his video from 4 hours ago.
Oh my God, I didn't get to talk about the Pinkertons. Next week, ladies and gentlemen, we will talk about the Pinkertons. I promise.
Oh yeah, we forgot. But real quick before we go, Max, do you have a promo code first?
I do actually. Let me see here. The problem is my keys are starting to take a little hit here, but I got some. And today will be. No, I should have written claim. See, sometimes I forget to write claimed on them. But I know.
I mean, if you don't, we don't need to give away a game every week, but
I have enough to do that. It's just a question of the quality of the game. And so I gave away the Weeb game last week. So today we're going to do Mafia 2 Director's Cut remastered.
Ooh, probably the best version of Mafia 2 to play.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good one. And that you can redeem. I will, again, as usual, give a quick buffer so that people can open up their Steam browser to redeem codes or whatever, and then I will drop it. So we're just going to read a fucking dad joke in the meantime to pass the time. What do you call a bear with no teeth?
A gummy
Mersh.
bear.
God damn it, you both got it. Why did the hipster burn his tongue? This is my favorite one so far, by the way.
Why did the hipster burn his tongue?
Mm-hmm.
He missed his bone.
He drank his coffee before it was cool. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, you can claim the Steam Mafia 2 Director's Cut and enjoy whoever wins. Please, if you win, like, nobody posts in the chat when they win, but I check. I know you've redeemed it. I know somebody did. Come on, just say thank you. It'd be nice.
Yeah, let us know who you are at least. So, also, while we're promoting stuff, if you guys would be so kind to click on the join button and join our locals community, it is $5 a month. All the proceeds go directly to me, and you can read my film reviews, and I'm going to be figuring out how to do like a bonus podcast there. There are some technical things that still need to be done, but now that Twitter has banned I guess Substack links from the platform, I'm going to be using
Did they?
locals. Well,
okay. I mean,
it's complicated. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Twitter is going to buy Substack. They're negotiating the price, basically, is my hypothesis. That's why Substack now has a Twitter clone.
Yeah. So essentially, we haven't actually talked about this, but essentially,
There's a thing.
Essentially, Matt Taibbi and a few other people were complaining that their Substack links were not visible on the Twitter timeline, and they weren't getting any traction. And I actually tested this out, and yeah, it is true. Substack links seem to be blocked out from the timeline.
I see.
It's weird. There's a theory that it's because Twitter Blue is working on like its own like long form content writing thing, but I don't know. That's been speculated about since before Elon even acquired the company. So who knows? But
so we don't really know. It just seems people are feeling shadow banned. Gotcha.
Yeah, but like I said, join the locals community. Helps us out. You get a cool badge if you.
And we haven't been shadow banned over here yet. The Rumble's been very good to the show.
Like I said, we haven't been shadow banned, and Rumble also gave us. We got our check mark today at only 52 subs. So, and we're monetized. So, better than YouTube. Don't miss that platform. And spread the word about the show to your family and friends. And as always, we thank you for joining us. And with that being said, God, freedom, legacy in that order, and we'll see you on the next episode. Adios.
Thanks for listening to The Whitfield Report on the NGC Network. Please visit Sam's website at www.thesamwhitfield.com. and support Sam on Patreon at patreon.com/Whitfield Report. Until next time, God bless, God save this great nation, and God, freedom, legacy, in that order.